Life is so precious, so sacred. My heart is heavy, as a great majority of yours may be, since we've all gotten the news that actor Lance Reddick passed away. I am so honored to have had the opportunity to enjoy his company, his presence, his pride about talking about his career, but also to observe the humbleness and appreciation he knew he was gifted to have. Actor Lance Reddick, a wonderful man with a good soul, and I can tell a great spirit. And this brother who is about to sit down with us tonight truly needs no introduction. I mean, we've been watching him ever since he first appeared on New York Undercover, and I'll get into that with him in just a moment. I'm talking about back in the 90s. But his plethora of work has definitely kept him in the game and moving strong. It is a pleasure to be welcoming for the first time to the Quiet Storm, Brother Lance Reddick. Thank you for joining me tonight, man.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is all mine. As I said a moment ago, we go back with you, brother. I don't know if you remember that Oscar Griffin role that you played.
Oh, I remember. That was my first. That was my first on-camera role out of drama school. I remember.
Yale drama, right?
Yeah.
So when you look back at that moment, New York Undercover, which was a phenomenal series, man. I wish you had been on more. It was a phenomenal series.
It was kind of groundbreaking at the time too. Yeah.
Say that again.
It was kind of groundbreaking at the time too.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But when you summarize your life, your career, from then to this moment, what does Lance Reddick say?
Wow. I mean, I've been so fortunate. It's funny. I recently been thinking that if I ever wrote a memoir, it would be called Late Bloomer.
Really?
Because I started acting so late. I was 27 when I decided to start pursuing acting. Kind of went on lark, and then I went to drama school. I was 29. My daughter was 3 years old. Wow. So I just feel I've been just so fortunate because it's changed my life. And even with all the, I've had my share of disappointments, and it's not so much disappointment, but I mean, I definitely have disappointments because that's life, but frustrations, in terms of race in this industry. And I still feel like I've just been so fortunate. I'm just very grateful.
Man, that's a perfect word for you and for all of us, no matter what industry that we're in. Us, we're people of color, man. We always have had challenges, and the challenges haven't stopped with the advancement of technology or where we are in the year. But yes, I would say that you had a wonderful, colorful, amazing, and still going strong, brother. Still going strong career. Look, over the last, you're entering your fourth chapter of the franchise, John Wick. You are the consummate concierge. Look, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen John Wick, I want you to go back and binge watch it from the first one to what is about to happen on March 24th. This man right here has done an amazing job. I don't know how cool you can be in covering up for killers, assassins, and everybody else who's staying at the New York Continental Hotel. But you do it effortlessly, man. So
it's one of the things where you whenever you're talking about somebody who's first of all, just the conceit of not only a hotel but a chain of hotels, which gets expanded as you see more sequels that are actually part of the an underground organization or guild of the top assassins in the world, and how you be the quintessential concierge for a place like that. It was a cool opportunity. This is fun. It's been quite a journey.
And obviously, your character role, your presence alone has always been authoritative, has always been distinguished, has always been proper. When we go back with you on the days of The Wire and Oz, I mean, you played detectives back then. So, you've always been in this role of control. And it seems like these roles find you, or you find them, or timing is the perfect thing to say that's how everything kind of panned out for your life and career.
Well, it's really interesting because when you talk about control, for me, I mean, Sharon has a tremendous amount of self-control. In some ways, he's the most, except for maybe Winston, he's the most, even more than Winston, I think he's the most self-controlled and self-contained character in the entire franchise. But it's interesting because one of the reasons why I wanted to do the role was because since The Wire, I just spent so much time playing authority figures that talk a lot. The opportunity to play basically a very taciturn, quintessential servant was really, especially in this world, was really exciting to me.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just, in some ways, it was another chapter for myself as a character actor.
Challenging in one way?
Challenging in a good way, because I'd never really played a role like this before, and I was cast only a week before I had to shoot my stuff for the first film, and so I had to figure out the accent and I had to figure out the character, because even though it reads well on the page, he doesn't. He's such a linchpin of the first film, but at the same time he doesn't say a lot of words. So I had to find a way to inhabit him and communicate stuff that wasn't necessarily said, and use the accent in a way that was that felt organic as opposed to something that was put on.
So that means you speak another language.
Well, I mean, when you say speaking another language, what do you mean?
Another foreign language, comfortably.
Oh, actually, no. I mean, he's supposed to. The character does, but I don't.
If you have not had a chance to watch an action-packed, keep you on the edge of your seat, kind of thriller, drama, interesting twists and turns, I invite you to check out John Wick. Now, we're up to 4, for those of you who have been in the franchise for a moment, and this man plays the concierge, Sharon, right? Sharon. And him and the owner, his name is Winston. Now, I don't know. I would say Winston is kind of shiesty in a lot of ways, because he's the owner of the New York Continental Hotel in this series.
Well, owner is, once you get past the first film, you start to realize that these condos are all part of this shadow organization of assassins called the High Table. So I mean, he's just a franchisee. He's not owning anything outright.
Well, here's an interesting thing. We know John Wick did something in one of the, I think could have been in 3, on the grounds of the hotel, that kind of put him in a kind of a situation.
Yes.
And so now when we move into the 4th chapter of this amazing series, John Wick, what can we, I know you don't want to give no spillers and no secrets out, but
at least not for another week.
I understand that there's some upheaval battles that you and Winston are going to face in this 4th chapter. Can you share some of that with me?
I can only say that something happens around our relationship that puts Winston on a parallel path with John, in terms of and they actually become partners again in terms of revenge. So that for the first time in the John Wick films, it becomes personal for Winston, and our relationship is key to that. So that's the most I can say without spoiling anything.
I got you. So that tells me that it's growing in a greater way for you and Winston, which could be positive. That could be very, very positive. And this 4th chapter will also take you to different countries. Paris is one of the countries that you guys go to. Were you able to film in these other countries that they filmed in?
I only filmed in Berlin. So, but I know I know they shot stuff in Japan. There's an Osaka Continental. I don't know if that was shot on location, probably, or if it was shot in a studio. And then there's some more desert stuff. So there's some more desert stuff. Yeah, I mean, New York, Berlin, Paris, Osaka, Japan, and the Middle East. So those are all the locations in the film. The only place I actually filmed was in Berlin, though.
First time for you going to Berlin?
Trying to remember. Yeah, it was.
Wow. Very interesting. I can't wait to see it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, March 24th is when John Wick 4 kicks in. And if you love the first three, will they love the fourth and moving forward? Lance?
I would think so. It is bigger, if you can believe it. Because if you've seen the first three, it's like, how can it be bigger? Because each one's
Right.
bigger. But it's one of the most dense. It's one of the densest action films I've ever seen.
Man, you have the wonderful, distinct honor of working with two distinguished actors, Keanu Reeves and Laurence Fishburne. Your experiences, man, what are you taking from these guys on many levels?
It's funny because Laurence and I actually don't have any scenes together. So, but I have a really interesting history with him. So when I was first in drama school, at the end of my first year, Lloyd Richards, who he had just left the drama school. Ironically, he was one of the reasons why I wanted to go, but he had just left the drama school. And so there was a new play on Broadway called, what was the name of the play? It was an August Wilson play. Anyway, Fishburne was the star of it. And because Richards had been the dean of the drama school, we all got free tickets. Wow. And so that was the first time I ever saw a Broadway play. So I went to that play and I saw Fishburne on stage, and it's the only performance I've ever seen on stage that reminded me of Marlon Brando. And I remember watching his performance, and there was a part of me, I got this sinking feeling in my stomach, and I had this thought, I'm never going to be able to do that.
Wow.
And then I had another thought that said, no, God wouldn't bring you this far to leave you hanging. Great. And I looked at his performance and I said, you know what? That's acting. I'm going to learn how to do that. And then about 10 years later, I was at the HBO Black Film Festival in Miami. Mm-hmm. And we were taking a short hiatus during the second season of The Wire. And I was sitting by the pool, and Laurence Fishburne walked by the other side. Wow. And I was talking to these young ladies, and I was talking about what a fan I am. And they were saying to me, "Oh, you gotta say hello to him. Go up and introduce yourself." I said, "I can't do that. I can't do that." So there was like this cabana bar that he went to. He got a drink, and then he went back to the hotel. But this time, he walked by on the side that I was sitting on. And as he walked by me, he stopped, and he introduced himself. And wow. He said, "I just want you to know that the work that you're doing is very important to a lot of people. You don't know who they are, but they know who you are." And he walked away.
Ooh, that's powerful, brother.
And then the next time I saw him was, he actually directed me in a podcast.
No way.
Yeah.
That's an epiphany, man. I mean, what I don't even know how to even answer that or counter answer that with you, because somebody who you obviously respected and admired his body of work, something that
he was one of when I first started acting, he was one of my idols. I mean, he just was. Yeah.
And for you not to know him, but he was very much aware of you.
Yeah, well, what's so funny? So after John Wick 3, we were invited to Keanu got his he put his footprint on a Hollywood walk on Hollywood Boulevard. And so on the ceremony, after the ceremony, I was talking to Fishburne, and I brought up that incident, and he didn't remember. I don't know if we could say swear words on the show, but he didn't remember. And he said, "What'd I say?" I said, "You don't remember what you said to me?" He said, "No, I don't remember half the good shit I said." So,
I heard, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, you were a huge fan of, and maybe still are, comic books. Yeah,
I am. Although I don't read DC so much. Believe it or not, I actually have the Marvel app on my iPad. So yeah.
I'm not that much of a fan like that. Okay. But do you still have old issues of comic books from back in the day?
No, I got into in the 90s once they started making collecting things in trade paperback. So yeah. I have a lot of trade paperbacks, but I don't have individual comics anymore.
Wow. What got you into comic books, man?
I was in elementary school, and there was this kid in my class. Actually, it might have been a year behind me. Um, um, After I sang in the choir, and we would have choir rehearsal on Tuesday afternoons after school. Because I went to a parochial school. I went to the Episcopal elementary school, and then we would have church on Sundays. And so after choir rehearsal and after church on Sundays, I would go to this drugstore that was on the corner, down on the corner from the school. And at first, I just went in to buy candy bars. But this kid Adam, he was always reading comic books, and I honestly I didn't like to read that much. But I just picked up one, and I liked it. And then before I knew it, I really got caught up in the fantasy of the superhero thing. And it was also the time, I grew up in a time where westerns and detective shows were real big on TV. So I was really big into all that kind of fantasy action stuff.
Yeah, no, I get it, brother. Same here. I wanted to become a police officer, so I get it. I totally get it. I got absorbed in that world for a moment. Before I let you go, though, Lance, I got to ask you, when you were going to Yale Drama, who were some of your classmates? I know you said Laurence Fishburne had just kind of gotten out. Lloyd Richards was.
Actually, Fishburne never went to Yale, but he was close to that. So Lloyd Richards, who was the dean of the drama school, and he's really the guy who pioneered. He was the pioneering director who really brought August Wilson's work to Broadway, and they kind of rose together. But Fishburne would start in. I wish I could remember the name of that play, the August Wilson play, and it was premiere of that play that Lloyd Richards had directed.
Not the piano.
The people I was in school with at the time, I think the only person in my class that you would have heard of was Paul Giamatti, who is to this day one of my best friends. And then Leah Schreiber was a couple of years ahead of me. And that was kind of amazing. That was kind of an amazing class.
What was Courtney Vance and Angela Bassett? Were they ahead of you or behind?
They were there before I got there.
Before you got there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Man, you have a wonderful history of accomplishments, and I know you're proud of everything that you do. Are your children? Did they pursue this game of the industry? Or are they in a wholly different?
No, my sons have. They each dabbled in it for a minute in high school. My daughter had an agent for about less than a year. When I was living in New York, and then one day. Her mom and I were separated, and so she was staying in my house. And she came to my house, and this was back in the days of fax machines. And there would be sides for this audition for this new UPN comedy. And she's looking at that. She reads through it, and she said, "Dad, I don't want to do this. This is crap." And I said, "Do you want to do this anymore?" And she said, "No, I thought I'd be going out on auditions for like theater and Shakespeare. I mean, I got a test to study for." I said,
"I know that's right." Wow.
I said, "Okay, we'll do that." And my son actually went to LaGuardia School for the arts, and acting was his major. But then he really got caught up in the science thing. So, like, he won the AP Biology Award and the Earth Science Award when he graduated. So, my son's a paramedic, and my daughter just graduated from nursing school. So, they're very different.
Well, that's good. And no matter what, I know that it's no problem for you because you're proud of them and whatever they had decided to fall upon. So that's a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah. No, I don't care. As long as they're happy and they care about what they do. Yeah.
Well, brother, we're happy that you continue to grow in many ways by leaps and bounds. And despite of the adversity of what we go through as a people in your lane in Black Hollywood or Hollywood, by God's grace, man, you have survived and you're still going through the hurdles. As I'm sure I'm hearing that in the background, but at the same time,
yeah. But I mean, it's also, it's like, I would be remiss if I didn't at least periodically be thankful for my blessings because they are many.
Someone is listening tonight who's trying to pursue what you're doing. Some kid, some parent is listening and they have a child that is interested in doing what you are doing so effortlessly now. What could you speak into their heart, into their mind, into their soul to continue to give them the encouragement to keep pushing?
Wow. This is a tough one because for a couple of reasons. First of all, because the way that I did it was so kind of convoluted. And also because it's particularly in the United States, the game has changed so much. But so I can only speak from my experience. So from my experience, I would say, learn your craft and love what you do. And just keep doing it.
Despite of it all. Yeah. Despite of whatever happens, keep pushing.
Yeah. And some people are really good at, because the problem is that in terms of the business, the skill set of being a star and the skill set of being a great actor are different. And the skill set of being a star has a lot more to do with your charisma as a human being and how, you know what I mean, and loving the business part of it. But you gotta, I mean, it is a business. So even though my bias is always going to be in favor of the art as opposed to the business, you can't survive it unless you at least to some extent understand the business, because otherwise, even if you're really good at what you do and you have great people around you, which is its own challenge, getting the right reps.
Sure.
People will take advantage of you if you don't keep figuring out the business.
Well, brother, you have managed to do it, and I'm sure someone else who's listening tonight will keep those words that you just shared with us and use that as motivation to keep moving forward. But Lance Reddick, continued success to you, man. Don't forget, March 24th, we'll see John Wick, the 4th chapter, and this is going to be interesting. So we look forward to seeing you doing what you love to do, and I want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. I know it's coming up in June, so be blessed, man, and continue making success seem so easy. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Lance Reddick, inside of the Quiet Storm tonight. Turn up.